If you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. When you do, make sure you hit the notification bell. That means that you will be informed of when a new video has been released. If you would like to take that support one step further, you can do that via Patreon, which is an optional monthly service. You can donate money towards the channel, or you can go over to Ko-fi.com, and for the price of a coffee you can help donate towards the channel as well. Links for all of those will be in the description of the video, and without further ado, enjoy the video.
And we're recording. Are we ready?
Ready.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be listening and now watching another episode of the Non-League Nosh. I am James, and as always, I'm joined by my colleague Adam. And as well, I'm joined by James Bloomfield. How are you doing, boys? You all right this evening?
Personally, very good, thank you. You?
Good. That was a great start. Boys. Well done.
Just waiting to see who tipped first and who was actually going to talk. I might try that throughout the whole video just to see who goes first.
Adam, you well?
I'm very good, thank you. Not too bad at all.
Good man. We decided to do one of these episodes where effectively this is going to be a platform for us to talk about football in general, what is going on in the world, and just to kind of get our thoughts and feelings about topics from the top of the game all the way down to the bottom. And yeah, we're just going to be using this as a bit of a platform to kind of get our thoughts and opinions across, really. So rather than having that segment in the other episodes where we have a guest on, this is going to be our opportunity to kind of talk things through. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. If you guys enjoy it, make sure you hit the thumbs up as well, all that kind of stuff. And every topic we talk about, leave a comment as well as to what you think about each one. But before we kind of get into that, I think really we kind of need to acknowledge how well things have gone recently from a podcast perspective. I mean, Adam, when we started off, did you ever anticipate where it's kind of got to? It's just, it's gone mad, hasn't it?
No, I mean, I sat back earlier on, like trying to arrange a few things, and I've never could have imagined that I'd have Cherno Samba's phone number to arrange a podcast.
I know.
With him when we started a little while back. Like, I didn't think I'd get to call the man, the myth, the legend myself, and have a chat with him on the phone about arranging when we can actually have our sit-down chat. And what a nice bloke he was too to have a chat with. So yeah, it's a bit of a surreal moment where I just like reflected on like what we've achieved to date, really, and it's fun. Just get to talk football a few days a week. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just nice to get that professional perspective as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, we sit here, and I don't know about you, but, you know, you sit there and you judge these people based on what you've heard about them and certain things that have been said. And, you know, you manage them from a football manager, from a virtual world perspective, in my case. And just to be able to sit down and actually have that interaction with them and just kind of just, you know, do you know what I mean? It's like they're almost detached from reality, aren't they? In many respects, a lot of these people, and when you actually talk to them, they're just humans. They're
incredibly normal, normal. And I think like what we're finding out is the more people you talk to, the more stories that you get that normalise people even further, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously another element to the show that has been added on to the Non-League Nosh is James's segment. We were so impressed by what you were talking about and the way that you came across in the podcast that we've done, that I don't even know how it kind of all kicked off, really, how you kind of got on board, but it's the coaching aspect of it is just something else that's been added to the show. How are you finding things at the moment in terms of like podcasting and stuff like that? What's the experience been like for you? I mean, that must be a whirlwind as well.
I'm not going to lie, I've not done a lot of it. As you know, in fact, the first podcast I was a guest on your show, so
exactly, yeah.
I think having done that and realising it's just you're having a normal conversation with people with similar interests, it was instantly something that, of course, I knew I'd love doing. It's different to being a coach, of course. That's my usual thing to do. So it's been different, but
yeah,
I'm not going to pretend I usually speak to League Two managers every day of the week. So just like Adam said, having a conversation with Cherno Samba Me having a conversation with John Yems, the League Two Crawley manager, it gives me an opportunity to ask questions that I would love to ask, and I'm sure if I would like to ask them, plenty of other coaches would too. So it's been, I didn't probably expect in the first 3 episodes to speak to somebody like that. So really positive, really good.
Yeah, it's from every video that we've had, the caliber of guests that we've been able to get on has been it's just been mental. I mean, I haven't prepared you for this question, but Adam, do you have a favourite from the ones that you've recorded or the ones that maybe James has done? Have you got any?
The Darren Eady one stood out for me as one that I was on.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect from it, being an Ipswich fan from young and drifting away from the pro game, but listening to him talk, I don't know, I felt like he was very, very easily. You could connect with him very easily, find something in common with him.
Yeah,
and he'd only played for a couple of clubs, but he'd had a hell of a career.
his story was amazing, really. And somebody actually put in the comment section of a YouTube part of it, just you forget how early his career was cut short.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he was a hell of a talent.
Yeah.
Even when he moved to Leicester, he was about to go on to the next level. Do you know what I mean? And to have all of that just taken away from you, you can't imagine, what you as an athlete would go through when something like that happens. But what about you, James? What one of you particularly enjoyed listening to, or even being a part of? Is there one that you've enjoyed recording maybe that's been a standout so far?
Yeah, well, I think all of mine so far have been really different because the variation in guests. They've not all been managers. Some of them have coached mainly academy football and stuff, so they all were so different. Really hard to pick one, but again, I hate to just follow the crew with the one with Darren Eady, but I was lucky enough to listen into that, and that was something different. I mean, Adam, you mentioned that he was really honest and open and quite human, but I think we've actually found they all have been, really. I probably couldn't name one where we haven't, within 10 minutes of the podcast, realised we're speaking to another human being. We maybe expect him to be different. I mean, everyone has a slight TV personality, and maybe he's one of them. In fact, he is one of them. And then he appears on a podcast, and as we saw, he sat there in his front room talking football and having a bit of a laugh. So I'd probably pick that one in terms of enjoyment, and I think that's the best one I've listened to in terms of any podcast, to be honest, in terms of what he delivered.
I hope that the length of it doesn't put people off from listening to it, because there's absolute gold in there, in terms of the insight that he actually gave. And some horrible stuff as well for him as well. Something that's always stood out since we did it was the fact that he had to have 26 operations on his knee.
That's
you just don't know about it.
You can't even comprehend that as an actual person. Can you imagine having 26 operations on one part of your body? It's just
hard if you wasn't a footballer. That would be hard no matter what your career is, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
26 operations and you're struggling. As a footballer, that is your living.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. I think for me, this is going to be really difficult to kind of pick. I think from a storytelling perspective, I think Simon Johnson was one of my favourites. Some of those
really fun.
Yeah.
Just mental. The way he went in on certain people it was brilliant to listen to. Really, really was. And I think what is actually really good what's come off the back of that is, I don't know if you've noticed, but everything that we're doing at the moment, he's also liking as well on Twitter. Yeah. He's still keeping in touch, which is a fantastic. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but I
think it says a lot about what we're doing.
It's really nice that someone's actually just keeping a close eye on what we're doing, which is really nice. The Kyle Callum McFadden one was really interesting. I really enjoyed getting to know his story and all that kind of stuff. But I think my favourite probably has been the Marvin Bartley one. I I really, really connected with him. Like just speaking to him, I just found it incredibly easy. We talked before the podcast started. We talked for a little bit after the podcast as well. It just flowed. It was just so natural. It was just, like I said, he was probably the stories that he was coming out with, and just like the way that you think certain things that were portrayed at the time, and he just went, no, complete rubbish, and actually just was so open about it. Because I think that's always the fear, that anyone who's out of the game can tell that story and there's no repercussions for them. Because what are people going to do? Like, you're finished now.
Yeah.
He's still in the game. He's still playing. He's still coaching. He's still building up himself a bit of a reputation as a coach. He could have quite easily come on and gone, yeah, well, there was, but I don't really want to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? It's not for me to say. And none of that.
Something stuck out from the interview you did with him. He said at the end about like future aspirations, how as a player you're not as in control of your own destiny as such, because it takes a certain amount of like base talent and stuff. He said about he'd never be Ronaldo or Messi or whatever. Like he could come on, but he was never going to be that good. He said, but I've got the belief that it's up to me to be the best coach I can possibly be, and I could be the first black manager to win the Premier League.
That was a hell of a statement. That really, really was. Really.
He had that belief in himself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, obviously, you know, everyone, it happens with any walk of life. The older you get, the more experience you get, the more you learn from your past mistakes and stuff like that. And to be able to have, as a coach, and think about all the times of when you did things wrong, when you reacted in a certain way to all that kind of stuff like that. All of these guys that we're speaking to, they're going to draw on that experience. On the stuff that they did as a kid, that's just invaluable, and being in the game massively will help as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how, like, from a coaching point of view, for me, if I had played professional football, the entry into football coaching becomes, you're fast tracked a little bit. There's nothing hidden about that. It's you can even go down to our level, and Ben Henry's first role as a manager is at Bury Town at Step 4. I mean, he's had a great career as a pro, over 400 games as a professional footballer. Yeah. And your entry level's there. So it's quite interesting to hear that some of them, I mean, we've spoken to people that have just absolutely zero interest in becoming a coach. And for me, that's like strange. It's like, you do know you could do that really easily.
Yeah.
And I think it opens up sort of your eyes to the fact that the skills to become a professional footballer and being an athlete nowadays is so far apart from the skills you need to be a coach. So because you've been a professional footballer doesn't mean you're a good teacher and a good people person and and you're going to be able to stand up in front of 30 players and the youth teams, and it doesn't mean that is going to be also in your skill set. So that's been fascinating from that sort of perspective to hear. Darren Eadie, for example, swiftly just sort of moved into it. We spoke to other players that decided, like you said, Simon Johnson was like, no, that's not going to be for me. I'm not going to coach. And then now he's got his own academy and he's found a love for it.
Just Joe Jacobson was the big one for me, like, that follows that trend. Joe Jacobson is like a leader within the team. He's part of their leadership group. I'm training to be a financial advisor.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, like Luke Chadwick, the very first one, joined the Cambridge Academy as a coach, and then decided, actually, no, that's not for me. Do you know what I mean? He had that opportunity, but he just decided he doesn't want to do it. So, yeah, it's been interesting. It really has, and plenty more to come. The number of guests that we've got lined up, the people we're in contact with, it's only going to get more and more interesting. And some of the stories that are going to come out, I really, really can't wait. It's but yeah, I just thought we'd touch on that before we get into the main topics of discussion for tonight. Let's start off with a big one, boys. Football, from a UK perspective, looks like it could be on the way back. Well, it actually is. We have a start date of the 17th of June. Man City versus Arsenal and Villa versus Sheffield United. Thoughts? What are we thinking? Like, are we excited?
Fixtures to come back with.
Adam.
Yeah, well, I don't watch Premier League football, so let's get that out there early. I don't watch any top flight football, and
so you're not bothered about this at all, then?
It does matter, but I'm not going to be making an effort to watch it.
Right.
I'll probably watch a box set instead if it's on. Like, the thing is, I am not one of these people. Like, let's get this out here. I am not one of these people. If the football's on, I like slap my wife in the face and say, "Give me the remote. I'm watching that football." Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you are not watching what you want, woman. Like, it's like, I don't care what's on the telly. I'm proper chill. If she's not there, I'll put the telly on. If she is there, we'll just watch whatever is thinning my little ones about. I'll just say, let's watch Paw Patrol. Like, you know, that I do not take this like remote dominance that like, you have these alpha males that are like, "Oh, it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday, we're watching football no matter what, get out of the house, do the ironing." Like, just like, have a nice calm household. I don't care. I could watch it on my phone if I want, but I don't.
So you don't care then?
I don't care. I really don't care, like, about it being on telly. Like, I don't watch Match of the Day, haven't done for years. Match of the like, it doesn't interest me.
James, what you feeling about it?
Polar opposite, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean,
you both support a team that's actually plays top flight football.
Well,
if
yes.
you supported Ipswich, would you care?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I would, because the Bundesliga's been back, and I'm annoyed because I haven't got BT Sport, so I can't sit there and watch it. I've been wanting to watch a game of football for so long. So to have this back, and obviously, as part of it, they've announced that some of the games are going to be free. So to have that option, because I've binned off Sky, because obviously with all the stuff going on, what's the point of paying for it? So to have all of these options that are now going to be available to me, I'm just like, get in. Absolute result. I mean, James,
honestly, I'll give you an insight on it. Right? I've got BT Sport. I don't even know where my remote is to operate the box. I'm deadly serious. Don't even know. Pay a subscription for it. Literally never turn it on.
Come on, James, hype this up. Come on.
Yeah,
talk to me.
You can easily go into the argument of, is it early, is it not early, and all that. And I just think they wouldn't be allowed to if it wasn't the right time. We just have to trust the process and say they're putting serious things in place. Appreciate it's not going to be exactly the same. There's no supporters in there, but I've sort of accepted that. I'm just happy you've got some football back on the TV. Quite clearly, players have decided. Troy Deeney, for example, he's got a young child who's born with a condition that means it would be serious if anything was spread around the household. So he doesn't want to play, and that's fine. So I think he's now set the example, and hopefully others will follow in that suit. I hope they do. They say, "Oh, I'm not playing either," and anyone that's not comfortable doing it, don't play. Yeah. But you'll have so many that are raring to go, and you've seen them on social media posting about like fist pumps ready to play, and they control their own lives. And if they want to go and play football, and they're not so concerned, and you can go to a market from next week, and you can go shopping, and you're going to touch the milk and decide not to have it, and then somebody else is going to pick. If you can do all that, then I know football's contact, but they're not kissing each other. Do you know what I mean? They are.
I think from what we've found with these podcasts as well is that for a lot of these players, it's a job. Like, they enjoy doing it, don't get me wrong, and it's a competitive edge.
Sure.
For a lot of them, football is not their life. So they need this to be able to provide, I'm not going to say provide for their families and whatever the case, because some of them are on stupid amounts of money, but they're being furloughed just like the rest of us, or not being paid at all, or whatever the case may be. So these guys need it. They need to be able to have that job fulfillment like a lot of us are kind of craving at the moment. So,
and why did they start playing? Why do you start playing football when you're 6 years old? Because you love it, and they still love it. I'm not going to say every footballer. There'll be exceptions, of course there will, and people that struggle through. But the majority of them, a really vast majority, are passionate about it. Is passionate, more passionate than we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So to get out there. So I'm polar opposite to Adam. My TV will be plugged into every match I've got time to watch, and I'm not going to have any disrespect to Burnley v Aston Villa any longer. That's going to be treated. That's going to be treated as like primetime TV.
The ultimate Super Sunday.
And I'll be taking it all in. I'll be taking it all in. I think you learn from watching matches as well. So yeah.
Burnley Bournemouth I've got the problem with.
What's that?
Burnley Bournemouth is where the boredom really sets in.
Oh, I can't wait for Burnley Bournemouth.
Do you know what as well? What is really funny is that like when the Bundesliga games did come out and you see people going, "Oh wow, it's really interesting to hear what the players are shouting and talking about." It's like you've never watched a non-league game in your life, have you? Some of these people that were coming out on Twitter with their stupid comments, it's like, what do you think? The players don't talk to each other for 90 minutes? Like, what do you think happens?
I saw something. Oh, you can hear people on the bench clapping and celebrating.
Yeah,
that isn't unusual.
No, exactly.
I just hope nobody else goes to clap an empty stand. I hope that becomes not a thing. Because it's embarrassing.
Dortmund did it and it was funny, but don't do it anymore.
It wasn't funny though. It's just daft.
It was, Adam. Get a sense of humour.
No, it's no. That weren't for me. That was just like. I dare say that after all this, I will watch a game. But like I said, I don't take over the telly in my house.
Oh, no. You mean like that? I do.
No. I literally don't take it over at all. I've only got one TV in our house. I've only got one TV in our house, and I honestly don't care if it's on or not. I don't care if I don't watch sport.
The remote is by my side. It's on my left-hand side every day.
But I've heard the other rubbish you have to listen to. To be honest, James, you have a lot of punishment in the stuff you have to listen to when football isn't on. Because
it's called compromise. If she wants to watch that, then I get to watch the football. It's just how a marriage works. It's compromising.
See, my compromise is I get to watch 7 out of 10 television constantly. Not have 10 out of 10, then 1 out of 10.
Well, yeah, you see,
I live with the 7 out of 10. Like, I mean, I did have to just go through the whole set of Waterloo Road. Like,
yeah, no,
it's about a school. It's a drama about a school.
Yeah, is that really a 7 out of 10?
Just tipping a 6. It's all right. So there's some funny stuff in there. It's got a great soundtrack as well. Anyone that's watched it will know it's got a brilliant soundtrack.
So just to clarify, Adam, you're not particularly bothered.
It's just because I know I'll watch bits and pieces on YouTube, like highlights and stuff, but I'm not there for the full 90.
Right.
I don't support a Premier League team either. Like, let's be realistic. I'm not going to sit and watch Norwich's downfall because that's the banter thing to do as an Ipswich fan, because it's not. That isn't funny in the slightest. It's an East Anglian team that's been successful, so whatever. I'm sure people that are Ipswich fans will be like, but no, it's a team in East Anglia that's been successful, good for the area, good for youngsters, like helps them progress for a better academy. So I think that the area needs a highly successful team, because it's going to be a long while before Ipswich can get back to those heights again anyway.
Maybe never.
Maybe never, like literally.
Hopefully never.
But you've got to look at the other teams around us, and like Cambridge, I think they're even further away. So yeah, I think it's important. Do I care about who wins the title in the Premier League? Absolutely not, because Liverpool have already done it. Do I care who finishes top 4 outside of that? It's pretty much the same as every other year.
It's just to have football back. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is.
I want to be there, watch it, and live it.
Yeah, well, I think that is a long way off, mate.
No, I get that.
This will help.
But do you know what? How much abuse do you say? It's normal, right? Everything in life is normal. How much abuse do you get for being an armchair fan?
Oh yeah, you get a lot.
Now everyone wants to be one.
Well, because we have no choice.
That's because we've got nothing else to do, Adam. That's the reason we're all armchair fans.
No, I'm not gonna turn into an armchair fan that suddenly supports Arsenal, God forbid.
You don't have to support anyone, Adam. We're not asking you to support someone. It's just to enjoy a game of football. And it is going to be like a non-league version of it, because there's going to be next to no one in the ground. It's going to be the kind of football that you can enjoy. You can listen to what's going on. You can get you're getting that same experience, apart from they're playing in a stadium. It's like a
little bit like a pre-season friendly.
Which is a pre-season friendly.
It's like the FA Vars. What you're watching is like the FA Vars. It's like non-league teams are going to Wembley, and it's going to be nowhere near full. That is what you're watching.
Do you know what? I'll update you all after I've watched the first game.
Oh, I don't know if I'm looking forward to that update, James. Are you?
But I might watch Man City's last game because of Silva, and I appreciate what a player he is and what he's added to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Them kind of moments.
So, yeah, there are potentials in there for me to change my mind, but I am not good. You know, when it's the World Cup, right? I try and watch as many games of a World Cup as I physically can.
Yeah.
I view this little thing as just like a World Cup. The next 6 weeks.
You're going to watch as many as you can?
The opposite. I'll just watch a couple.
Well, speaking of a World Cup tournament, have you seen how quickly they're trying to get this all done? They have set a target, if I can find out the exact date on there, they have a target of the 25th of July, I believe. So they want to get this done within 6 weeks.
When does pre-season start? No, is it the 1st of August?
No, pre-season would normally start either last week of June or early July.
Mm-hmm.
So we're potentially going to one season, then another.
Next week you start fresh. No idea.
I don't know I don't know what they're going to do. I think maybe. I mean, do they use this as like, let's just get these games done, let's get the season finished, and then we'll assess the situation and what came out of it, how many people then tested positive as a result of playing. Let's use this as like an experiment. This
is a genuine question, right? The transfer window opens in a few days, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say a player has been training with one team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then gets brought to another team.
Yeah.
Internationally, or surely, or even across the country. Surely that player is going to probably end up being quarantined away from all the other players.
You would have thought so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I don't know how you could even do it, but I would have thought there would be some sort of agreement between the clubs to not organise transfers, maybe.
Our players going to be transfers are happening now already. That's the thing. But do we know if players are going to be allowed to, like Norwich have announced the signing? I mean, other clubs have as well.
Yeah,
it's happening. But are they going to be able to play in the remainder of this, what you want to call the 1920 season?
Because I think it'd be via contract date, wouldn't it? Because you don't sign for a season, you sign for a date.
So they can just come and play, and all of a sudden now we're going to finish the season with new signings in there.
Well, the only problem that you've got is the 3 clubs in a season rule that the FA impose.
So what if this happened then, and all of a sudden now Real Madrid take Firmino, Salah goes to Man City.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've just gone onto the BBC Sports website, right? And the last transfer that went through is a Watford have signed 21-year-old French midfielder Pape Gueye, right? 5-year deal. His contract with Watford will be effective from the 1st of July. Now, if my football manager brain is on right now, you have to register players, don't you, during that current season?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he won't be able to play in it. They won't allow that.
Yeah.
Got you. So until the next season starts, he can't do anything.
Yeah.
So that would mean they could quarantine him away from the rest of the team and not affect.
Yeah. Quarantine him.
Well, no, I guess that's what they're going to have to do because even like teams, clearly there's little hotspots in teams that have got the illness. Yeah. Because you hear like 3 players or whatever have come back from one team testing positive. Yeah. Which proves that within that environment it is breeding as such.
Yeah.
So surely you wouldn't want the risk of that coming from one team into another.
Have you said that? Have you seen this? Elliot Bennett.
Yeah.
Has had it confirmed.
But he's asymptomatic or something, isn't he? It's not actually.
But But I suppose with a player that's coming over to Watford, he's coming over from France, and if the new rules that are coming into effect for what the government have said, he's going to have to quarantine for 14 days before he can even step foot anywhere near the training ground or the club or anything like that. So
yeah, I think we can forget signings playing for the rest of this season, but they'll start happening. So it'll be what'll be really strange though is if, and I'm just going to give a really random example. Firmino gets signed by Man City, and now Firmino has to play against Man City. I mean, what happens? What happens then? It's really confusing.
Yeah,
and I think
there's like a real clash of interest, isn't there? Like
they just won't sell. Actually, that's the answer to that. Premier League clubs will say we haven't finished our games.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you ridiculous money if you want it.
But it's, from a Premier League perspective, I don't know how it's the Championship argument is the next one that pops up, because they're going to, are they going to try and are they going to try and get their season finished now as a result? Because if you're a Premier League club, and we've heard this argument, and James, you've probably heard this argument as well from a Norwich camp perspective, they're coming out and saying, well, if we're finishing our season and we're going to get relegated, why should we have our place in the league replaced by a team in the division below that hasn't completed their season?
That's such a fair argument.
And they haven't actually confirmed that there will be relegation this year, have they?
No.
I don't think.
No, nothing
That's
is
not confirmed.
Do you know what? I think people will support me on this. If they're not going to relegate, what are we even starting up again for?
Yeah.
I think it's just mathematically. I remember
it's 1 point or something, isn't it?
They are starting for one reason and for one reason only. It is money. Money. It's the only reason they're starting.
But TV money only.
Yeah, if they don't, contractually, they are screwed. The Premier League are screwed. They're going to lose a lot of money. Clubs are going to have to pay back a lot of money. And heaven forbid a Premier League club has money issues. Heaven forbid that happens, because that is not going to go down well for the
Remember, the time before, when Norwich were in the Premier League under Alex Neil, when we come up that time, I believe it was the first season we shot up. We were struggling a little bit. And then we suddenly shot up the league. I think it was 5 games. The last 5 games, we done really well.
Yeah.
And I can remember reading a thing saying, if we would have just stayed up, we would have taken in X amount. But because we beat Man City last game of the season, just that one game took us up 4 places, and that was £5.5 million.
Yeah.
I know that in sort of comparison to money in the Premier League, that maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but
that's an Ipswich Town transfer budget for 15 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there's a lot of money. There's too much money involved, and it's not just Liverpool, and it's not just relegation. Even in the middle there, even going from 16th to, I think we went up to 10th or 11th. There's so much money. It was always going to be played. So
it is amazing, because even if that pays a big chunk of a wage bill or something, that makes a difference to a club.
Oh yeah, 100% it does. 100%.
Special, but is fair play, financial fair play in place still to the same regard?
Isn't it?
Not with the Premier League. It's not anymore.
When does that come back?
I listened to a financial podcast a couple of weeks back that Benjamin Bloom does.
Yeah.
Benjamin Bloom, the Ipswich Town guy. I listened to one that he did the other day. He had the I can't remember the bloke's name on there now, but the Premier League this season scrapped financial fair play because managers and clubs were complaining that they weren't able to sign certain players.
Improve the Premier League as such.
Exactly, yeah. So they went along and said, well, look, we can't sign anybody because you've put these things in place of us. So what do you want us to do? And the Premier League were like, well, we want to attract the best players. We want to attract the best names. We can't be having this.
So Man City have got a ban, haven't they? A European ban due to financial fair play. So it's a bit strange,
European, because European is completely separate to what the Premier League are doing.
Yeah,
that's horrific, though. That is horrific.
But that's the top league in football, mate.
So they need a world-class midfielder, and they need a striker to come in now and start being nurtured. No European football. Who would want to go there?
Well, I think there'll probably be quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, but if you've got options between clubs that are playing in Europe, if you want to play at the top of your game, you can take a 2-year contract and just wait it out.
If you want to talk about players like if they were after an Mbappe or a Sancho or somebody, you are right. There's going to be a struggle to sign a player of that calibre. When
I think Mbappe's wasted at PSG.
The short football career.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't. But it's the money, isn't it? And what they can offer. Like they guarantee he will play European football every single year.
Yeah.
PSG will play European football every year. They
Yeah.
guarantee him a good salary. They guarantee that he will be this.
And they obviously won their league ages ago, didn't they? PSG.
Yeah.
Their decision, their league was cancelled, and they were given the title.
So, as a talent, wasted. But for what he gets and his job satisfaction and what you could want as a footballer, he's got everything in the world, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely 100%. But yeah, so that's the Premier League news. The very, very brief bit of news that we have from, I suppose, a non-league perspective is that the National League, apparently, and this is according to a latest tweet from Ollie Bayliss, National League clubs are getting rather frustrated with the lack of progress. Apparently, there hasn't been any communication between them and the league in over 3 weeks.
Wow.
As to what is going on.
So the question has to be asked, what are they? Why?
They're waiting for the EFL. They're waiting for the whole EFL pyramid to set its rules and what is going on before they decide what they're doing.
It'll get to a point, James, where it's too late, I believe.
Will it?
To do it. It'll get to a point where we're already hearing that the Premier League, you said, is going to go on until the 26th of July.
Yeah. So
to get all these clubs back in, that's a domino effect. So how late do you know? And
I don't think it'll be that long. I don't think they'll wait till the 26th of July and then do the championship. I think it's probably imminent, to be fair. Now this news has come out, I'd expect in coming days, hours, whatever it might be.
Are championship even back training yet?
I don't know.
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are. I haven't heard.
If so, they're 2 weeks behind before we start.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing is, obviously the Premier League have got the money to be able to test. We know that. Championship has probably got the money to be able to go out and get tests done on a regular basis. Anything from that onwards, downwards can't. League One, League Two, National, anything else can't, right? National League are not going to set up playoffs to be played. I don't think they will, because again, who's going to pay for that testing?
Mm-hmm.
The clubs can't afford to do it. The league won't pay for it. So you're going to have to figure out a system of being able to promote someone through the playoffs if the EFL say that 2 relegations or 2 promotions can happen. You're then going to have that whole issue where someone's in 5th or 6th or whatever who's then going to complain that they didn't get their chance to be promoted up to the Football League. They're going to have all of that problems going on. And realistically, even if they do get this season finished from a Premier League and a Championship perspective, if that is finalised on the pitch and the rest of the leagues are finalised off it, with whatever decisions and however they go about voting, you've still got the issue of the fact that we cannot get a season started League One down. Because you cannot get any testing for League One clubs going down the football pyramid. So we're not going to get next season kicked off. So
I think we could potentially end up seeing, sorry to interrupt you there, we could end up seeing a bit of a reshuffle for a year. Not necessarily, but we could end up seeing National League say, okay, because of safety regulations and government regulations, we cannot test players. So this is the situation. You're done. The season's done. Barrow are going up, for example. That's that done. You're going to go up. League Two aren't relegating because it's a football league and they haven't officially been relegated, so they're going to play with an extra team. The National League, North and South, could maybe promote an extra team, and it could happen all the way through. It may happen that League Two say we're promoting the teams that are up there, maybe top 3. I don't know. It's really you can speculate.
Because I think for me is that over the last 48 hours, we've still had in this country over 800 people die.
Yeah.
From this, right?
Deaths seem to be going up a little bit as well.
So
which worries me.
you've had 800 people confirmed, by the way. That's only people who have been tested as positive. It's not people who have actually died who haven't had the test. And sorry to say in such a blazing way, but that's just the fact. So 800 people have been confirmed to have COVID and have died, right? So the rates are still at an exponential rate. So to even get, as I said, the football season kicked off again, it realistically is not going to happen at those levels and below. So we can talk about who's going to be promoted to League One and who's going to be promoted from League Two, but effectively I think honestly the whole of next season is just going to be scrapped, because the number of deaths that we're still getting, and we are in a busy and a hot period of time, right? The weather outside is absolutely gorgeous. And if they think that the virus is reacting in the same way that other viruses have and that heat makes it better, do you know what I mean? It helps.
Get it off.
We're still having this number of deaths. We've got the winter to come.
Yeah.
It's going to be a second peak, as much as people don't want to say it, but the second peak of this is going to come. And we still haven't found a vaccine for this thing. And we're not going to find a vaccine for a long time. So
I do wonder, and I know there's so many questions around it at the minute, and like the health side of it, everyone's talking about, aren't we? Is it safe to do this yet? And when a gym, I mean, I work in a gym now, when the gym's going to open, and that's going to be, and if you're in that line of business, there's real arguments and real, the same as for footballers, it's their job and their livelihood and their businesses. But the only thing I would say on what you said there in terms of the 800 deaths, is that how long has that been?
That's in the last 48 hours.
48 hours, 800 deaths. How many? I don't know where that falls in terms of how many people have died in the last 48 hours of normal flu. Or, I mean, is that? Do you know what I mean? Is it scary?
That is on a graph that came out today.
Yeah.
Considerably less.
Well, I mean, the normal flu, for example, do 800 people die every 48 hours of flu? Do you know what I mean? So, are we scared? And that's not actually high. Do you know what I mean? It's a funny point to make, but how many people normally die every day? I don't know.
You are 100% right with what you're saying, because the percentage of how many people is actually affecting is low. However, it's only that low, and I say only in the nicest possible way, because it's still a disgusting number. But it's only that low because of the fact that everyone has just gone into hibernation.
What I think has been really positive this week, though, is the fact that there's a new test out to know when you're clear just to go ahead and live a normal life. And that's to drive a car to your local castle and just see if you can see far. Just find your local castle. I was
wondering how long it's going to take one of us to make that joke.
Drive there, and if you're okay, you've recovered. That's positive news for everyone. No bother. And if you crash, well, then you weren't well enough. Natural selection.
But do you know what I mean though? Like this thing, because of how much it's dominated the news and how much it's dominated our lives and changed everything that we're doing. They're not just going to suddenly turn around in 2 or 3 months' time and go, right, everyone can go back to playing football however they wanted to, because it can be regulated at a higher level. But can you honestly say that they're going to go around to every single non-league club and say, right, this is what you have to do in order to segregate your own fans? Realistically, are they going to do that? No.
It's tough, isn't it? Because I mean, if we've got shops opening and they're marking areas on the floor in, I mean, what's more important, local football, McDonald's? I don't know. Everyone seems to be raving about them sort of places opening, and everyone's so okay about it. Everyone's absolutely fine. Like, we've spoken about having a Chinese takeaway and we're in the queue, and apparently that's fine.
Have you seen those videos of the McDonald's drive-through queues? Oh my
crazy
God, this country's mental. Like proper mental.
Like, to be honest though, like I haven't had one. Yeah.
Or McDonald's or takeaway.
Yeah. I've had many takeaways.
I was going to say,
I actually had fish and chips tonight. It's very good. Ipswich.
That's what I mean. So would it be over bad for us to say this is where you stand? it'll get to a point, and it might be. You might be totally right, James. I'm not here to say.
I hope
not,
but I can't see how.
Why can't we get the line paint out though and just say, right, these are boxes for spectators?
Yeah, the only issue is the footballers, then, isn't it? They're not going to walk around with a big 2-meter hula hoop and play.
Do you know what? We solved this problem a long time ago. Zorb football.
Do you know? Have you?
Stone Market.
Yeah, I did that for my stag do.
Oh, my shoulders were aching for about a week after I did that last time.
I was so hungover when I did it. It was a really hot day. It was like being in a greenhouse, and I had alcohol sweats as it was. So I felt very, very poorly. So Zorb football.
Would you rather film Stone Market versus Norwich United as a normal game or as a Zorb football? Be honest.
It would be better when it was Zorb football. But I'd like just to get one episode of it on the channel. It would be good for the likes.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you make, Adam? Like what? What me and James have just been talking about. Honestly, when do you think non-league football is going to return? Honestly, have you given it much thought recently? I mean, just in terms of when it actually going to come back, because
we were given a very strong indication of when non-league football will come back today.
Sorry,
we were given a very strong indication of when non-league football will come back today by Boris Johnson. Groups of 6 can meet outside only as long as you're 2 meters apart. We're bloody miles away.
Yeah. And
like months.
You notice when he was saying that, how the doctors were like
nervous.
Yeah, really, really nervous.
Because the numbers aren't right for it.
No.
But he's doing it reactively to get heat away from Dominic Cummings' little joyride for his wife's birthday.
Yeah.
Let's not get away from the fact that it's like a political token he had in his pocket that he's lumping on the table, because he said that they can adjust it quickly. I can guarantee you what will happen is that will be pulled from underneath us in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
Unless everything goes smoothly, but that we're on the cusp of it not being there. It's one of those knife edge things.
The whole thing about they're going to open up shops again, but you're not allowed to touch any of the clothes that you're shopping for.
Yeah, Harry Potter would do brilliant. Just pick it all up with his wand. No, genuinely though, what a crap clothing, what a crap experience shopping. And I've been thinking about this. Whilst we've been in lockdown, have people been buying clothes, sending them back, and they just all get burned?
No, what happens is that I actually heard about this the other day. If you send an item of clothing back, it actually goes into a quarantine area for a week before it's even considered to be resold again. That's
what is underwear? Do they do it for 2 weeks?
Doing at the moment.
Or if it's a face mask.
Yeah, face masks. How long do they have to go in quarantine for? I don't think that's right.
But if we are at this point where we're only just getting back to, some people are allowed to come back to work, some people aren't still, some people are still being told. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm being told I can't go back to work for the most stupid reason ever. But that's by the by. I'm not allowed to go back to work. So if we're still in that scenario, and then what you just said, Adam, where only 6 people can meet, but you've still got to remain a distance away. Like you said, I honestly can't see it. I don't think it's going to happen next season, and I don't think it's just for non-league. I think League 2 and League 1 as well, because the Football League are not going to pay out for those tests, and the clubs can't afford to pay out for those tests either. So you cannot guarantee the safety of someone. And I know and James, you are 100% right in that this flu, or this virus rather, is no worse than the standard sort of flu numbers, but it's only at those numbers because it's being contained.
Yeah, that's true.
The biggest worry for me as a parent is the fact that all the kids are going back.
Yep.
When I don't see it, I see numbers falling, but they're still quite scary numbers.
Yeah, if you said those
And
numbers,
children can't contain themselves. They'll lick each other whether you tell them to or not. Like, seriously, like they will. Children are rank. Like, they do stupid things the whole time. Like, they'll eat a sandwich and then shove it in their mate's mouth.
but you know the conversation we had with Justin. Do you remember when we talked about the numbers that we're having over here? How disgusting he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in other countries, these numbers that we're still getting is a crisis. For us, it's like, yeah, all right, come on then, let's start opening up again.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
Get
when would you ever say, "Oh, your country's having 400 deaths every 2 days due to a virus"? But it's all right.
Yeah,
But
Where's
Justin was
that
also
threshold?
half like, just get back to normal. Just get out there, you'll be fine.
I
Yeah,
do
it's
wonder, though, without disrespect to him, if it's different if you're not living within that. But I get what he's saying, that it can be completely hyped up by the media and stuff. And if you don't live it, but then starting to look behind the numbers and understanding infection rates and stuff. I'm sorry to bore people if they understand it, but apparently our infection rate was 4 at one point. So for every person that's got it, you could pass it to 4 others.
yeah.
And it's currently about I think it's between 0.7 and 0.9.
0.9 they said earlier on, didn't they? It was the
It
latest.
still worries me that every one person that's got it is going to give it to another person, which will give it that multiplies quickly. Not many people generally live on their own, so the one person that gives it to another person could very quickly give it to 4 people.
Yeah.
How restless are people getting though? I mean, if I sent a message in our group chat now saying, "Should we have a kickabout?" I mean, I wouldn't do it, and we'd be in trouble for doing it. So I'll cover the bad for a minute.
Well, no,
I can guarantee if we were offered to place against Stowmarket on Tuesday night, 75% of the team would say, "Yeah, go on in."
Yeah.
One-on-one coaching though, James, that's the business to be in. There's one-on-one goalkeeping coaches everywhere on Twitter at the minute.
I know Instagram videos left, right, and centre at the moment for different.
It's the new 5K run. It's your one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
2 metre social distance, and everyone is going to have an absolute pinpoint 2 metre pass. Absolute pinpoint. We are going anything less than that. We're not really going to know what to do. Tackling's going to be really rough when we get back.
Yeah.
There's going to be some tasty reds going in, I reckon.
Yeah.
But,
make sure you turn your head away after you've tackled as well, though.
Oh yeah. And if you cough, go into your elbow. So turn your head away, tackle, cough, dab.
Don't do that. That's dangerous. Really dangerous.
So, I mean, that's going to be a stupid game when we get going. And
from a non-league perspective, I just don't see how it can. The next season, I just the chances are that if you play the game, you would be all right.
By the time non-league gets back, I wouldn't mind betting that nearly every team has a completely different team of players.
Yep. Mm-hmm. How many clubs are going to be still going in a year's time? Realistically, this is now my next one.
Didn't Huddersfield, was it a club in the Football League came out and said that they reckon 70 clubs could go?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think I saw something about that. But do you know what I mean?
That's a lot.
It's only in the last couple of weeks it really has actually kind of dawned on me how long this is actually going to be lasting for.
So this whole thing of owning a football club is a bit like a rich person's plaything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly do you get sick of a toy that's costing you a ton of money for no reason whatsoever, that isn't even anything to play with because you can't play? Their investors just massive walkouts. Why would someone buy a football club now? I'm looking at Newcastle.
Mm-hmm. Because they've got too much money and it's a game.
Buy low, sell high, Adam.
Buy low, sell high. That didn't work out for people that bought Northern Rock shares, did it? Buy low, oh yeah, your shares are worth nothing. I don't know.
It's worrying. As I said, it's only just dawned on me in the last couple of weeks. But as I said, my biggest worry, and it's not about what goes on at the top, it's what happens at our level. Because I honestly, if you take away the option of being able to have any income for a year, if that is realistically the option, do you know what I mean? Like, grounds have still got to be maintained. Stuff still needs to be paid for. There's still expenditures to be had. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many clubs?
Well, I think that like we're seeing big movements already, like at our level. Stanway Rovers, director of football, gone.
True.
Yeah. Paid member of staff. He didn't feel that it was appropriate to sort of remain on the books and that with the crisis and everything that's going on. So Angela Harrop, he's decided to move on. He was doing good things there as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just about clubs may survive, but they're not going to look the same or feel the same or be the same.
No.
When we go back, and you kind of love non-league football for the relationships that you build within it.
Yeah.
And
that's hard.
Yeah, it might be a case that when you go back to non-league football, there are no previous relationships other than with the fans.
Yeah.
Who may or may not be coming back to
really
watch.
We could be really positive in here now and say November time. I'm going to put a bet that November we're back.
November.
That's
Do you know the big thing? Do you know what I think about that?
Minimal change. November. Minimal change. Minimal players leaving the football clubs.
You know it's not going to be like that, though. You're saying it to try and put a positive spin on a negative segment.
There are a lot of people online who I've been having, conversations with them actually privately. A lot of people are thinking this is overblown. This is just, it's nothing really that much to worry about. Like, non-league football will be fine. Do you know what I mean? There's loads.
I wish they were very close to somebody that worked within a nursing situation.
But a lot of people do have the complete opposite. Like, this has just been blown. We need to get back to normal. We need to start doing this. There are a lot of people who will be thinking that what we're talking about is a load of rubbish.
Yeah, but they all probably thought Brexit was a good idea.
Christ. Let's not bring Brexit into this discussion, shall we?
Yeah, let's not go there.
Let's not.
Do you know what? I tell you what, the best thing that's come out of this, Brexit's been forgotten. Because it was dragging this country down.
It hasn't, mate. If you listen to some of or read some of the discussions that are going on, it's still you're this side and you're thinking this position about something.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk, isn't there, about the fact that this. One of the funniest things I read the other day is that none of this would have happened if you would have voted for Jeremy Corbyn. I don't think he had the power to stop a pandemic. I don't think he was like a one-man wall to stop that pandemic coming in.
Oh dear.
Good thoughts, but no.
But yeah, it's been interesting, boys. I've enjoyed doing this. It's we've covered Premier League all the way down to our level, and I'd love to know what everyone thinks at home. If you've got any thoughts about, Premier League starting, what do you make of it? Let us know. Is it the right thing to do? Are you excited about the games, or are you like Adam, just not really that bothered about football coming back on your TVs anyway? And from a national league perspective, what is the right thing to do? How do you settle it? And I suppose really from our level of the game is, when do you think football's going to come back? Really?
I'll tell you something. Talking about football coming back and coming home, have you boys been watching Euro 96 on the telly?
No.
No, nor have I. You're not that interested in it. Like, you could have done. If you really wanted to watch football, that was proper football.
I've seen the highlights, mate.
Seen the highlights?
I've seen the highlights.
Thing is, there's so much of it on now. There's so many. I can probably YouTube them games, and there's so much of that sort of stuff on, and that Harry's Heroes and all that. I think we're all craving a live game of football.
I've seen that Alan Shearer strike into the top right-hand corner against Holland so many times. I don't need to sit there and watch the full 90 minutes of it. I've seen that goal countless times.
Such a player, isn't he? Such a player.
Adam, with your hair, you sort of that reminded me of it there, actually.
Yeah.
Just replace the yellow stripes on the football shirt with white, and we're pretty much.
So, talking about hair, James, what's under that hat, boy?
Yeah, we'll go there another day, shall we? Lockdown trim, that's what's going on under there.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
well, speaking of trim, my missus did mine earlier on. I think she's done a pretty sterling job. Fair play to her. But yeah,
Pretty styling job.
Oh,
like it. That's clever.
Wow.
But yeah, if you've enjoyed this podcast, guys, if you're listening to it on YouTube, or if you're watching it rather on YouTube, make sure you leave a thumbs up and comment on all of the topics that we've talked about. That'd be really interesting to get your guys' thoughts. If you'd rather get involved in the conversation on Twitter, all of our handles will be in the description, so you can get involved and follow us on there. If you are listening from a podcast perspective, 5-star review. Apparently, Adam, that's the right thing. Yeah.
yeah. Just subscribe so you know that when we're on, when we make an upload,
Subscribe,
you'll know about it.
review, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You know what?
If you like it, like it.
Exactly. But until next time, as always, adios.